Okay, people have been asking how you would put like panels together. For example, I've been working on these squares. If you remember, I did a video about simple squares. So here's a couple of them. And if you're doing something that's small or even bigger, basically what you want to do is have a loom on hand. Excuse me, if you have these squares, what you're going to do is you're going to join them together, pretty much one on top of the other like this. Okay, it's going to be joined together, and it's going to make like a strip. You're going to make strips kind of thing of the different smaller panels that we have like that. If you had a panel that was bigger, then you're going to either need a bigger loom, or you may have to learn how to crochet the two together or match stitch them together, which is basically like sewing. But if you're doing something small like these, you can get the strips together by using your loom. And pretty much you're just going to want a loom that you can basically take, once I make sure on the right side, you're going to basically put this back on the loom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the inside, and I'm going to put these back on the loom, which I got to get my tool. So I'm going to put some of these loops back on the loom, wherever you want to start. You're just reaching down and you're grabbing some loops as you go around. So I'm just grabbing a loop and putting it back on. Now, like I said, this will work if you have small squares and you want to make a strip of them. Once you get so many lined up in a strip, then you're going to need to make more than one strip that you're going to have to attach all that together, which may be a little trickier to do. Either if you have a bigger loom, like we'll say you have a Martha Stewart loom that you can make it really long, you can do the same idea we're doing here, but with the strips on it, or you can tie them together. When you think of like a fleece tie blanket type deal, you can tie them together where the loops are, or you can use a mattress stitch. But for smaller strips like this, I'm just putting some loops back on mine, because when you think about it, when we loom, we're just going to put these loops back on as best we can. And I'm just going out the first row. You can kind of see that's all I'm doing right there. And I'm making sure I get at least one of the last ones. So there's the first part of it on. Now, to attach this one, lay this down. You're going to bring up, again, I'm just looking to make sure I get the right side that I want. You're going to come up and you're going to put this on top of the one you already have on there. And again, you're going to do the same process, pushing down those. It depends on the bulk of yarn. And now you're going to take this one and you're going to do the loops on this one on the same pegs you just did that one. So I'm just going through and I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting loops on the peg over top of the one I already have. Like I said, this will work for doing the strips, but when you want to put the strips together, you're going to need to do a little different then. Just go ahead and try to get the loops, pick up a loop, put it back on the peg. Try to see if you can find the edge that you like started or end with. Those loops will probably be a little easier to attach back on here. It may not be perfect, but it's just a simple way that you can try to put it back on there. So see, I put them both on top of each other. Now I'm going to do like we would normally do and just knit over. This is going to help join them together. So all I'm doing is I'm knitting the bottom loop that I put on over the top loop I put on. Okay, so that's all I'm doing is the bottom loop over the top loop, just like you would if you were doing loom knitting. And what this is doing is attaching them together. From here you will need extra yarn, because we need to pretty much bind these together more and take it off the loom. That's all I'm doing is I'm knitting them over. And what you can see, I'm going to push these down here, is it becomes joined together. Okay? But they're not totally joined together yet until we add some more yarn. Now, I would recommend using the same thickness as you used to make the squares, but I didn't have any more of that, and I just want to do this quick tutorial. So I'm using this yellow because I think it's pretty bright. Okay, we're just doing our slip knot, and then all you're doing is you're putting this on just like you normally would. So I'm putting it on the first peg, and then I'm going to knit across, wrap the pegs just like I normally would, the E-wrapping. Okay, so we're just going to E-wrap around, and again knit over. So E-wrap to the end, because this is what's going to actually help it lock into place. So I'm at the end, and now I need my tool again. I'm going to knit these over. Again, like I said, if you can use the same thickness, I should have probably used 2 strands, but I'm not too worried about it. For this tutorial, I just wanted to use 1. So I'm locking them in together. Like I said, if you can use the same thickness, that would help bind them together a little more. Or if you want to use a different yarn, like I am, I would say double strand it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way back over before I take this off. So what that actually did is it locked them into place. Okay, so we only have it left like this. These are now locked as sewn together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way back one more, because I like to start from one certain side before I take a project off. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap back. That's all I'm doing is wrapping it back the other way to get back to my starting point. I keep it pretty simple. I mean, you could try to do something different. That's all I'm doing is I re-wrapped it back going to the front, knit these over. Like I said, this works for the smaller squares to make them into strips. And then the strips will have to be put together a different way because they'll be longer. But this will help with the little strips you have. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this off the loom using our crochet hook like I've done in the past. Okay, so I've got my crochet hook. And what I'm going to do is do this just like I would normally take it off if I was crocheting. So usually what I do is I turn it so I'm looking at the start over on one side and the end on the other. I'm going to get myself some extra yarn here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet these off like you've seen me do on other projects. So we put this on our crochet hook. We're going to do probably at least 1 or 2 loops because this yarn is thin. Okay, put the next loop on. We have 2 on there. Back over the front. Give it a small little tug. 2 more. Oops. There's one pop right here. 2 more. So there's 1, 2, and then the next one on there. Again, giving it a little tug. And continue doing that all the way to the end. So that's what I'm going to do. Have it facing me so I can work a little faster here. Like I said, I'm doing 2 loops. You may only need 1. You may need none. It all depends on the yarn you're using to attach it together. That's why if you have extra yarn, your best bet would be to practice. But like I said, if you have a bigger, longer loom, you can do the same idea with the strips when they're done as well. Like for example, I have an Infinity 2 loom. I do have Martha Stewart loom, so I could probably make a big enough loom to be able to re-put these back on. Alright. And I think what this will do is kind of create a little pretty like joining edge. Okay, I'm just doing the loops. I'm bring it over here. It's a little hard to do when you're facing the camera sometimes. So I'm just going to work last 2 here. Last few, I should say. And the idea is to keep track of your extra yarn you're using. Okay. Sometimes it likes to fight, and that's what I hate when it fights me. So that's all I'm doing is I'm just going to keep going, and I'm doing the same process until I get to the last loop. And then I will show you what this does. And you could pretty much probably work this almost pretty cool way because you could probably rotate the squares and join another square on a different side of it and that. I mean, you could really probably have some fun with it. So this is just the basics idea that I kind of had when I was thinking about doing this patchwork for my daughter. This was how I was thinking about putting it together. So, almost the end. I know I'm off camera, I'm sorry. Get over. Nothing worse than the loop does not want to go through the thing. Alright, so I'm on the last one in about 2 seconds here. So again, we're just doing the 2 loops in between. You gotta be careful because sometimes my yarn has been splitting a lot on me lately, and I'm not sure why. It's kind of driving me nuts because it messes me up and then gets me mad. We all get mad at the loom when it doesn't cooperate. Last one. Through the loom. And I just lost my scissors. Okay. So now we just need to kind of like add a little loop here. See, my yarn is splitting again, which is just driving me nuts. Now what I see is I could, if I wanted to, come over here and bring my crochet hook through one of the ending holes. It kind of looks like it needs to be joined together a little more. And I could probably show you how to crochet these together, because I have kind of done that, but this is just for people that, like me, really like using the loom. So now I need to get my scissors, and we do a little snip of the yarn, leaving ourselves a tail. You can see. And that tail gets worked through that loop that we had, and it's locked into place. And if you want, you can take your crochet hook and go in a different spot and grab it again and do the same thing again. Then what I like to do, because I'm always afraid that things will fall apart, is I kind of put another little knot at the very end if I can. And what this does, if you look, and all it matters is how you line it up. But now, if you look at it, these are joined together. And you see, you don't see the yellow that I used on one side, but if you turn it over, you kind of see this cute little yellow line going across of where I joined them. That's why if you pick a cute yarn, this is actually a nice little like extra detail you can actually put. And this was just from the other one, I have to hide it. But yeah, and then I mean it should hold it strong enough. Like I said, if I pull on it, you know, because it's a different quality, like different thickness yarn, it does have a little give. But as you see, it sews it together, and then you have your cute little thing. And then you would just kind of stretch it out. You have to block it probably. But then all you do is you want to do it again, you could attach one to the blue, or you could try turning it sideways if you want just 4 squares. Turn it sideways and find a loom that would go around. Like probably you might almost be able to put this around a loom and do the same idea. So this is just a quick tutorial. Like I said, you don't see it on one side. Well, I'll still put my yarn anyway. So you don't see it on one side, but you see it on the other. So that's why you kind of want to be careful of what you're using. But that's just a cute idea of how you can sew panels together if you're like me and you like using the loom for everything. And then what you can do, or you can crochet them together, which all that would be is you'd have your crochet hook and your yarn, and you would hold them together again, and you would work it through, you'd have your crochet hook and your yarn, and you kind of work it through the loops. That would have to be a different video. I'm not a big crocheter. Basically all I do with loops is what you see here. I would definitely check out Mikey's Mail for the Crochet Crowd. I mean, he does more with crochet. He probably has a video about how to join panels together using a crochet method. So, but this is just my method, and I think it's going to work. I have different squares, and the idea is I can pick, like if I just want one here, I could put this back on the loom, and then all I would have to do later is kind of like tie them together if I have to where the points are. And by points, I mean if I had 4, the 2 up here and 2 down here, I would join this together. Like I'm probably going to join this together a little more, and because I didn't quite get it lined up the way I want, but it's still going to look cute. It's such a super soft blanket. This was Bernat baby blanket yarn, which I absolutely love. It's so soft and super duper warm. I made a blanket for my mother-in-law with this yarn. It's actually too warm for her, so it's a beautiful, cuddly, soft yarn, and I hope this helps.